A lot of our clients have interest in the use of an irrevocable trust in order to avoid a Medicaid lien at some future date. Medicaid is a program for long-term care. Sometimes clients need to go into a skilled care facility or in Delaware even receive skilled care at home and utilize the Medicaid program to help pay for those costs, either in full or in part. The difference between a revocable trust and an irrevocable trust is control. With an irrevocable trust, in order to get the advantage of being able to qualify it for Medicaid, clients need to give up control of the asset. And that is a discussion we have with them about it prior to engaging in any of these kinds of plans. When you place assets in your irrevocable trust, you are giving up control of them. Because you can no longer access the principal, it is no longer a countable asset when you are applying for Medicaid. There are some timing issues that we need to discuss with you regarding these transfers, but that is essentially how these trusts work. Your trust may or may not allow the grantor or the maker of the trust to receive the income the trust generates. This is a discussion we have to have with you regarding your particular assets. The trust can be drafted in such a way that the grantor or the maker of the trust is considered the owner for the purposes of income. It can also be drafted in such a way that that income doesn't have to be distributed out to the grantor. These are obviously conversations we have to have with our client while we are creating the trust and after consideration of all the factors involved. Property can be sold in the trust. Once you transfer, for instance, a house into the trust, it can be sold by the trust, and the proceeds from the sale can stay in the trust, or those proceeds still being in the trust can be used to buy another place, for instance, a condominium, if that's easier for the client to get around, and kept in the trust. So although the house in my example has been sold, all the money and or the new living situation is owned by the trust. So once that asset is in there, the value of it, whatever form it takes, stays in the name of the trust. So this is a really important question. Can I continue to live in my home if it is owned by the trust? So I'm no longer the owner, but can I continue to live in my house? And the answer is absolutely yes. We can draft in special language and that allows our clients to stay in their homes as long as they care to. So when we are looking at what assets might be good candidates to place in an irrevocable trust, we look at everything our client has. And of course, many of our clients have qualified accounts, things like IRAs and 401ks. These are generally not candidates for transfers to irrevocable trusts, but there are other techniques we can discuss with clients to maximize all of their assets to get the biggest asset protection that can be achieved. So the short answer is the qualified accounts by themselves are not good candidates to transfer to an irrevocable trust. But part of a good asset protection plan for Medicaid is the discussion of those assets and the use of other techniques in conjunction with the irrevocable trust to get the most asset protection for our clients. We're glad to have those discussions with you about your assets and your goals when we see you. So there are two kinds of Medicaid planning that we offer. One is asset protection, which does involve the use of an irrevocable trust, and that involves a longer timeline. But the other services we offer are what we call crisis planning, when we have a relative who has a need for Medicaid planning now. and maybe an irrevocable trust is just not possible. There are still techniques and things we can do to help, but the sooner you contact us to begin those conversations, the more value we will be able to offer you. And so we would just say, please don't hesitate. It's definitely worth a conversation. You know, someone going into a nursing home or getting to the point where people realize it is time for that person to go into a more supportive living situation is very difficult and emotional. But it can also be very expensive and complicated. There's nothing we can do about the difficult and emotional, but the expensive and complicated we can do something about.